Listen, I think a lot of people voted for Donald Trump because they took him seriously when he said that his number one priority was going to be lowering costs, and they didn't take him seriously when he said he was going to be a dictator, right? Well, it turned out that he wasn't serious about lowering your costs, and he was serious about being a dictator, right? And so you got a lot of people in this country, you got a lot of people in North Carolina, conservative folks, who thought that this guy cared about the rule of law and that he also cared about lowering prices, who are seeing the real story right now.
Hello guys, welcome once again to AfriPost. I hope wherever you are, you're having a great time. Now, we know that United States under President Trump is really facing a lot of challenges, especially when it comes to following the rule of law. President Trump has been viewed by many people as being a dictator, and this is what most Americans think, especially liberal Democrat supporters. Now, there was this black creator who was speaking on TikTok, and he was giving out his view with regards to how Trump is currently presiding over affairs of United States. And most white creators gave a lot of responses to him, and then it seems they were also agreeing with him. One problem is that when we look at the demographic of those who voted for Donald Trump, many of them were white. So why is it that right now they are able to really go and understand the kind of president that President Trump is, when at the time when he was brought to really campaign and have elections done, they were not aware of some of the atrocities that Trump would commit? I wanted to listen to this clip where whites are now thinking that Trump is not the best president that they could have, and some are even thinking that Kamala Harris would have made a better president. Let's watch this, then come back and share our thoughts.
Dictator! Liar! Dictator! Liar! Liar! Dictator! Dictator! Liar!
Absolute chef's kiss. That's what every single Democratic lawmaker should be out there doing. Every single one of them. They're not even, this isn't even a lawmaker, this is a citizen. But like every single lawmaker, from every single House representative to every senator, should absolutely be doing that right now. And if they're not doing it, they're just condoning what the fuck he's doing. Absolute chef's kiss. That's what every single Democratic lawmaker should be out there doing. Every single one of them. They're not even, this isn't even a lawmaker, this is a citizen. But like every single lawmaker, from every single House representative to every senator, should absolutely be doing that right now. And if they're not doing it, they're just condoning what the fuck he's doing.
It is a dictatorship, and there's not much we can do about it right now. Let's just fucking be honest. All of these alarm bells are ringing. Federal court judge blocks this, but all this shit is still happening. Why? Where? In what type of society does that happen? A dictatorship. It's not pre-dictatorship. It's not up and coming. It's here. Real time. You know why we're seeing so much extreme shit on a day-to-day basis? Because everybody who is on board with the Trump administration that has power in the government, whether it be local, state, or federal, right? They feel so empowered now to move forward with their extreme views that they have historically had to harbor away or hide away, given the current administration or the current obstacles in the way. But now that they feel like it's the wild, wild west, that's why we see all of this extreme shit. That fucking senator just said, oh, well, everybody dies. We're going to cut Medicaid except for the eligible because, oh, everybody dies. Fuck them. Okay, then go die. Since death is just such a throw-up light thing, go die. Everybody dies, go die. She doesn't want death, but when you cut Medicaid for people, then everybody dies. You know how fucking extreme that is? They're trying to float bills that will ban books. I don't know how the fuck anybody calls Donald Trump a strong man when he can't take criticism for fucking shit. Explain how these tariffs are going to help us. Explain how your economy has been the best ever when the numbers don't line up with that at all. Give us some real evidence about the white genocide in South Africa. Bring your fucking pocket junkie Elon Musk before Congress. What the fuck do you mean that some unelected billionaire never stood before Congress, never fucking got elected, nothing fucking bullshit? goes in under this Doge shit, goes through all of our personal information, doing ketamine on the daily, and other uppers, downers, I don't know, whatever the fuck. So basically, you let a rich drug addict run through our personal information that nobody voted for in a democracy. And nothing happened to him. He is a free man right now. It's a dictatorship. It's not it's not upcoming, it's here. A unanimous Supreme Court decision. Go get Kilmar. Is he here? They said we're going after the worst of the worst criminals. We're going to get them all out of here. And then they revoke people with legal status. And then they have ICE agents waiting at courthouses for people going through the legal process. Do people going through the legal process sound like the worst of the worst fucking criminals to you? It is a dictatorship. Congress? Are you fucking kidding me? We don't have a fucking Congress. I am yet to be able to make a fucking video about my opinion of Caroline Leavitt because I get so fucking upset. I can't stand that bitch. You know why I think Obama is 10 million times the man Donald Trump could ever be? Because when there were hecklers at his rallies or his speeches or people that interrupted, he said, hey, freedom of speech is a thing here and we respect it. Let them yell. Let them shout. He always said, don't boo, vote. He let them use their freedom of speech, even if it was in a negative way, even if it was criticizing him. You can't tell Donald Trump shit. It's just incredible to me that people will support a man who immediately turns into this little crybaby when you present him with facts that are contradictory to his delusion that he's the greatest thing that ever happened to America. I have the greatest economy ever. The bad parts are Biden, the good parts are me. They present him with facts. I don't hate you, Donald. These are just the facts. He says, fake reporter, you're terrible, your network is terrible, you should be investigated, yada, yada, yada. That's not strength, that's straight pussy shit. I just saw some MAGA motherfucker talk about Democrats are babies, like we've been crying about a fake election for the last 5 years. In counting. You know who fucking whines and bitches and moans about the rules when they lose? Babies, children. What the fuck are we talking about? The leftist lunatics? Which leftist lunatic Democrat stormed the Capitol in January of this year? And that's not even hating either side. That's just the facts. You can't look at both sides and call the left the lunatics when in 2021, the right stormed the fucking Capitol. What the fuck are we talking about? You cannot call the Democrats babies when you all have been crying and bitching about the 2020 election. To this day, Trump is still talking about Biden. To this day, in present time. He just floated and endorsed and whatever the fuck this conspiracy about Biden being executed and it being behind him being a robot. Move the fuck on. They were talking about, it's going to be a fake election. It was a rigged election just before the November election in 2024. And then when he won, that got cut off. They shut the fuck up because when they win, it can't possibly be rigged. It's what the American people wanted, even though it was a damn near 50-50 popular vote. It has gotten to a point where it genuinely does not matter if you're on the right, left, Republican, Democrat. It just should be a collective, universal, unanimous, what the fuck is this? And the answer to that is, it is a dictatorship. And it's sad. And it's fucking sad. So Elon Musk went through all of our data this year and then decided to leave. And I'm supposed to believe that the 2028 election is just going to be free and fair. They've already mentioned how he had his hand in the voting computers and shit like that. And y'all gave him, 4+ months to do whatever the fuck to everything. And then he just disappears and that's his tenure. Nothing happened. The 2028 election is going to be a fucking shit show.
Mr. Perry just mocked us for referring to Donald Trump as a dictator, so let's run through the list. Donald Trump has, since he was inaugurated, pardoned violent January 6 insurrectionists, dictator. Defied Supreme Court orders and attacked the judiciary, dictator. Unilaterally abolished congressionally chartered federal agencies, dictator. Attacked the free press, sounds like a dictator. Kidnapped people off of the streets and deported them to foreign prisons without due process, sounds like a dictator. Defunded higher education, dictator. Threatened law firms and the legal profession, dictator. This weekend, he is spending tens of millions of dollars to host a massive military parade for his birthday. Is this North Korea? On top of all of that, our twice impeached president with a 34-count convicted felony president who is not a king has deployed the active duty military in American cities, and he has spent $134 million to do so. He has their guns trained on American citizens without the consent of local authorities or the state's governor to purposefully generate chaos and provoke a reaction. Meanwhile, we have Republicans on this side of the aisle asking governors of states about bathrooms. Like, this is the most dystopian, horrific episode of Black Mirror that I have ever seen.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but this is the real reason, in my opinion. TikTok, this is for entertainment purposes only. But in my opinion, this is why they shut down Job Corps, right? For this reason. The U.S. majority will soon disappear forever. Caucasians in America are going extinct. Caucasians in America, right, their death rates are increasing and their birth rates are decreasing, right? And so this is why I believe that they basically ended the funding to Job Corps, because their control over our world is dwindling. And so they want those same people that are go to Job Corps to join the military. But you see, it's a lot of us, black and brown, that are rejecting the military. If you notice, there's a lot of black people who were in the military who got out. And though a lot of black people aren't going into the military. So when you realize that the military has a lot of control over the black people who enlist in the military, because now you're under the control over America. America is in control over you. The government controls you. And so when you have all of us delisting from the military, right, and you have the Caucasian population dwindling down, right, you realize that it's slowly turning to a new America, or should I say back to the ways of old. And so the reason why this is significant is because one thing you have to realize, these young niggas nowadays don't give a fuck about a draft. And if you try to create a situation, create politics to force a draft, you're going to realize that it's a lot of people who ain't going to show up. And you can't jail millions and millions of people who turn their backs. So you have to find another way. Remember, the black people are the majority. This is why they need us to vote. This is why they need us to join the army. They can't do shit without us. So when you're talking about defending the country, there's no defending shit when we're not front line within our masses. And so, them young niggas don't give a fuck about a draft. There's not enough jails or prisons to be able to arrest all those people who neglect the draft. But yeah, this was a government move to try to force you to make the option to join the army, since now they can't force you to. Because if they try to force black Americans, they could start a civil, and that's not going to be in their best interest. So they have to convince you and trick you to join them. But what's going to happen is America is going to bite off more than they can chew, because they don't realize that it's our representation, which is why we are a superpower or a world power in the beginning with the military. You take all the black people out of the military in America, and what do you have left to fight? You see the declining white population. So if we don't join the army, they have nothing. And so they're trying to hurt our pockets, and they're trying to get the younger ones to join the military, but that is not going to happen. And so now the Europeans who run America, because it's not black Americans, original Americans who run America, it's Europeans. So they're going to have to back up their own shit now. Now they can't talk their shit to the world, because now we ain't backing them up no more. Now they can't boast about their military and their guns and all that shit, because we're not going to be piloting the planes and flying and shooting shit. Y'all going to have to do that shit yourselves. And now they're going to have to come to the harsh reality that black Americans aren't European, and that we don't flow to the flute of the music that y'all play anymore. And them ending Job Corps is going to fall on their head, is because even after you took Job Corps away and those people are still not joining the military, what are you going to do then when you got to defend the same country that you help exploit? We are going to sit back and watch y'all shit on yourselves. And when the mess is over, that's when the black Americans is going to pick up the reins, and we're going to make America great again. And then I also have a theory that if they do try to force people to go into the military and no one budges, and then they try to use the military or the police to try to enforce said issue, then I can bet my last dollar that the police and the military will be dismantled in America. Because if the majority, which is the black Americans, decide to step back and turn away from the politics, the government, and European America, they will have nothing to enforce their laws. They will have nothing to enforce them to make you do what they want you to do. And ultimately, this is going to be their demise, because they're pump faking the control, how a low percentage of people can control the vast majority. That is breaking. And when they're going to keep pump faking you until the point where you realize that, hey, we are the majority, and all the thing that you're doing is crashing out because you know that your timeline is coming to an end. And I encourage my black and brown brothers and guys and goddesses out there not to join the military. For what? Let them battle the curses that they brought upon themselves. You joining the military, only thing that's going to do is curse you. Because the Most High has already got you protected, especially if you living in the land of America. This is the promised land. So you have to have faith to know that you are going to be protected. But them that's trying to get you to join the military, oh, their ass is grass, and they know their time is up.
The U.S. is currently being run by a dictatorship. If you saw that one video that guy did, you saw all over your screen. They tried to censor you from sending it out and sharing it, saying to check your sources. This is my theory. I'm theorizing that the AI technology used to capture these subtitles is also recognizing the fact that I'm a black man saying this. And historically, black people in America have said that America is a dictatorship or an imperialistic country. These people are also known as the Black Panthers, and the Black Panthers have historically been labeled as a terrorist organization by the American government, depending on who was in regime at the time. And if you look at the current regime, it's pretty fucking racist. So I'm not saying that AI is racist, but I am absolutely saying that they're using AI for racism, and TikTok is one of those people.
A lot of Trump supporters are unpatriotic. They want Trump to be a dictator. They want to see democracy fall. I don't believe that any American with a basic understanding of the three branches of government can sit here and say that what Trump is doing is not unconstitutional. How can a president whose job is to enforce the laws tell the Supreme Court, the judicial branch period, whose job is to interpret the laws via the Constitution, that they're not allowed to do that? How does that make any sense? What we're seeing right now over and over and over again is federal courts tell him that what he is doing, the executive orders that he's putting out, is unconstitutional. And he's then responding with, well, no, you don't have the power to do that. Then what is judicial review? What is the entire point of our court system if it is not to interpret the laws and tell the executive and the legislative branch that what they're doing is not correct, it's not constitutional based on the Constitution? Like, the fact that he went against what the Supreme Court said to do. We deported a legal immigrant from this country to El Salvador, and he's still not back. He's defied this in plain day, and there's no alarm bell. There's no fascism is here, dictatorship is here. No, quite literally, destroying checks and balances is in the authoritarian playbook.
What do you say to people who are concerned you are seizing too much power and becoming an authoritarian president like we haven't had before?
No, I would hate them to think that. I'm doing one thing. I'm making America great again. We have a country that was failing. We have a country that was laughed at all over the world. We had a leader that was grossly incompetent. He should have never been there. The election was rigged. He should have never been there. Our country suffered greatly, and now our country's coming back like nobody can believe. I have editorials just today where they're saying they've never seen anything like it. They love it. Our country's coming back, and we're respected again.
Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you, Terry, very much.
Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Now, I agree with the black creator talking about how Trump's presidency is really having some dictatorial tendencies within its operations. But then I don't understand why these white people still voted for Trump when they knew that he had been convicted with some accusations that he was having. But then, what do you really think influenced the white people to still vote for him even when they had an option of voting Kamala Harris? Over half of Americans, that is 52%, describe President Trump as a dangerous dictator whose power should be limited. That sentiment reflects his overt willingness to bypass norms, mass firing of federal employees, threats to use the military for domestic unrest, and calls for DOJ to prosecute media and political rivals. Yet these same actions appeal to a voter segment which is disproportionately white, conservative, and less educated, who view the existing political system as broken and in need of a strong and compromising leader. I think that explains what is happening. While 52% of Americans still think that Donald Trump is having dictatorial tendencies, they view Trump as someone who has a stand. They view him as somebody who can choose to make a hard decision where necessary. And I guess this is why they bypassed voting for Kamala Harris and chose Donald Trump. Another thing that I think really pointed to why Donald Trump was still elected by a white majority in America is the perceived failures by the Washington establishment. There are many things that were not going on right, and that is why during his first campaign, Donald Trump always said that he's gonna drain the swamp. He wanted Washington to be clean of the people who are fleecing American society. And that is a rhetoric that he used to really call for his election and push people against the establishment within different government structures. Many white voters, especially outside major metros, feel economically and culturally alienated. They connect Trump's authoritarian posture with decisive action on inflation, immigration, and corruption, areas where Democrats are seen as ignoring their concerns. For them, Trump's willingness to break the mold, even veering towards autocracy, is worth the risk if it delivers results. Yes, most Americans were sold the picture that there is a lot of invasion by aliens within major American cities. And therefore, white nationalists decided to really say that, can Kamala Harris come and solve these problems? They thought Kamala did not have the stature to really address these issues heads on, because she was also coming from the failing Democrat establishment. So they needed someone who has branded himself as an outsider, who seems to have that grit to make tough decisions, to come and talk about it. And that is why, even as Trump was calling some immigrants as criminals, they thought Trump is the one who knew what he was doing. Another issue is the identity and ideological alignment. We know that America is white majority, and therefore, looking at the identity part of it, Trump fits the bill. Looking at how Trump talks and his call for America first, and also the need where he was having the slogan of making America great again, it's all about the nationalist rhetoric that most Republicans tend to really spew around. White evangelical and authoritarian-leaning voters have strong identity and ideological ties to Trump narrative. Indeed, structural analysis reveal that traits like preferring a dominating leader and opposition to multiculturalism are stronger predictors of Trump support than economic anxiety alone. This identity-first orientation means many are comfortable labeling him dictatorial, yet still embrace him as their representative. I think this explains why he has continued to receive support even right now when other people are protesting and calling him out. There are white evangelicals who still think Trump fits the bill. Another issue is anti-democratic fear of the other. For many Trump voters, the primary threat isn't authoritarianism, but what they perceive as threats to democracy: open borders, election fraud, cultural upheaval. In their worldview, Trump's strongman tactic are a necessary shield against those forces. This framing allows them to justify voting for someone seen as heavily handed to protect their vision of American identity, even if it means tolerating illiberal governance. This explains everything. So sometimes we might think that whites were not really serious when they came to vote for Trump, but there are certain things that really justifies their actions. They have made it a point and known to the establishment that they want somebody who looks like an outsider, somebody who is ready to tear down the wall of establishment that has been running around governments within Washington. I think we have it there. Tell me down in the comment section what you think about this. And if you're watching us for the first time, please consider subscribing to the channel, like the video, and also share. Thank you, and let's meet on the next one.